Under the provisions, would it be possible that an American citizen then could be declared an enemy combatant and sent to Guantanamo Bay and detained indefinitely?
I think that as long as that individual, no matter who they are, if they pose a threat to the security of the United States of America, should not be allowed to continue that threat.
To continue that threat, I'm infuriated by Senator McCain's nonsensical and unconstitutional answer. I'm sure our next guest is too. Senator Rand Paul was questioning Senator McCain on our top story tonight. A bill written in secret by Senator McCain and Senator Carl Levin that would give the U.S. military and not civilian law enforcement agencies the ability to arrest anyone and hold that person indefinitely, even if that person is an American arrested on American soil. Here to discuss this frustrating development is Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul. Before we get into the politics of who voted for it and who voted against it, what's your take on what's going on here? I mean, everybody in the Senate took an oath to uphold the Constitution, which says no person, doesn't even say no American, it says no person shall be denied life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And here they go ahead and vote for legislation that denies it.
Well, you know, we had a discussion about this among some Republicans at lunch, and one other Republican senator read from the Constitution and pointed out all the places where you are guaranteed a trial by a jury, while you're guaranteed a speedy trial, while you're guaranteed habeas corpus, you're guaranteed all these rights. And it does strike me as perplexing that anyone could vote to send an American citizen who's been accused of a crime to a detention center in a foreign land without due process. Really is beyond me.
The law also leaves open the question of whether our government has the right to arrest you, American citizen, and to hold you forever without charging you, as long as what they suspect you of is terrorism. The president issued a signing statement along with his signature on this bill, and the signing statement said in part, quote, "My administration will not authorize the indefinite military detention without trial of American citizens." And that is nice, but to be clear, what that means is that this president says he won't arrest Americans and lock them up forever without trial. But thanks to this bill that Congress just sent him, and he did just sign, if this president changed his mind, or some other president in the future does want to arrest Americans and lock them up in military custody forever without trial, our government statutorily now claims that as its right.
The bill is allowing indefinite detention. The president understands and acknowledges that and says he might not do it, or he says, you know what, let's be merciful to him, and let's say that he is 100% truth teller, although he has not been in the past in terms of campaign promises, and this time he means it, and he won't do it. So what? The next president can, Republican or Democrat. You should have never signed it into law. Now, a lot of people have been making one last charge. Oh, it's Cenk Uygur and Glenn Greenwald and people like him that actually read bills, and I can't believe they read it, how outrageous, when we should just trust the goodwill of President Obama. But it must be just them, right? They're probably seeing it wrong. That's interesting, because the American Civil Liberties Union has a whole team of lawyers. They all looked at it, and here's their conclusion. Anthony Romero, executive director of the ACLU, says, President Obama's actions today is a blight on his legacy, because he will forever be known as the president who signed indefinite detention without charge or trial into law. So what's the next thing? Did the ACLU get it all wrong? All of their lawyers also don't know what they're doing, even though this is their job. American Civil Liberties. Okay, they say apparently, no, they don't. None of us get it. None of the people who read the bill understand it. None of the lawyers understand it. Only President Obama understands it. But even he says it's possible. All right, one last one from the ACLU. We are incredibly disappointed that President Obama signed this new law, even though his administration had already claimed overly broad detention authority in court. Any hope that the Obama administration would roll back the constitutional excesses of George Bush in the war on terror was extinguished today. Is that clear enough for you?
Governor Romney, as president, would you have signed the National Defense Act as written?
Yes, I would have.
FAA website that said that they are streamlining the process for public agencies to fly unmanned aerial surveillance planes, drones, inside the U.S. What about this? We're back with the panel. Raised a lot of eyebrows up on Capitol Hill, Charles.
It should. I'm going to go hard left on you here. I'm going to go ACLU. I don't want regulations. I don't want restrictions. I want a ban on this. Drones are instruments of war. The founders had a great aversion to any instruments of war, the use of the military, inside of the United States. They didn't like standing armies. It has all kinds of statutes against using the army in the country. A drone is a high-tech version of an old army and a musket. It ought to be used in Somalia to hunt the bad guys, but not in America. I don't want to see it hovering over anybody's home. Yes, you can say we've got satellites, we've got Google Street, and London has a camera on every street corner, but that's not an excuse to cave in on everything else and accept a society where you're always under being watched by the government. This is not what we want. I would say you ban it under all circumstances, and I would predict, I'm not encouraging, but I'm predicting the first guy who uses a Second Amendment weapon to bring a drone down that's been hovering over his house is going to be a folk hero in this country.
Right, soon there will be government eyes in the skies. The Fed's considering drones to monitor everyday Americans going about their everyday lives. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano passed out when he heard about this. We revived him in time, gave him a new suit, and brought him in. The judge, is this even legal when you found out?
No, it's not legal. Now, we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the Air Force, which is the Department of Defense, dispatching drones to monitor people when they're outside their homes or even when they're inside their homes. We're also talking about local law enforcement, 313 of which have drones ready to be used, but the FAA has not yet authorized them to do so. So we have the Defense Department and we have local police watching us from the sky, none of which is legal without a warrant from a judge.
So President is wait till they arm the drones. Okay. Now, so when I was in law school, everybody thought it was like you know, slippery slope arguments are never true because the slope slides both ways. That's like law school humor, right? That's why I couldn't wait to get out. Anyway, so yes, that's true. So for example, if you say, look, if you keep doing these drones, you can get more and more dangerous. I can't believe we're doing it in the U.S. The slope could slide the other way, where if you don't do the drones, well, then cow robbers could run amok throughout the country, and then robbers and then murderers can run amok, and it slides both ways. I get that. But it ain't sliding the other way. There is a slippery slope, and it's sliding only one way, which is more and more of our civil liberties being taken away, more and more Big Brother watching over us at all times. And every single time they say, well, oh, no, but come on. And they did it with the Defense Authorization Act. Originally, when it started with the Patriot Act. Well, indefinite detentions. Well, obviously, we're not going to do it to U.S. citizens. We're doing it to terrorists abroad. And we're not going to do it within the United States of America. We wouldn't indefinitely detain that. No, of course not. Now, the Defense Authorization Act says, yes, we are doing it inside the U.S. There's a slippery slope sliding away. Yes, we are doing it to U.S. citizens. Yes, the military can act inside the U.S. And now we have drones that are part of the police forces spying on you. Will the military at some point run the drones instead of the police? Maybe. Will they then at some point arm the drones because there's very dangerous terrorists or drug gangs or murderers running around? I would be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, felony means more than a year in jail. This is not like a traffic ticket. For standing and protesting, the type of thing that for 230 years Americans took for granted because it was protected by the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, has actually been abridged by legislation the president signed last Thursday, supported overwhelmingly by both parties, with very, very little public debate and very little debate in Congress. Basically allows Secret Service agents to decide where there are no free speech zones, not speech zones, no free speech zones.
White House anymore. It's wherever the president or anyone receiving Secret Service travels to. So if you want to protest the president, which is the most American thing you can do, it is the most cherished right we have in this country, First Amendment rights to, protest the government. Well, if the president is traveling anywhere and he's giving a speech and you're going to do a protest and they view it to be disruptive or disorderly, whatever that means, you're done. It's illegal. They can lock you up for it now.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Does it have? What is it? I really don't understand. How do he's dead? You were asserting that he had operational control of the cargo plot and the Abdul Muttalib plot. He's now dead. Can you show us, or the American people, or has a judge been shown?
Well, again, Jake, I'm not going to go any further than what I've said about the circumstances of his death and the case against them, which again you're linking, and I think that
you said that he was responsible for these things.
Yes, but again,
is there going to be any evidence presented?
I don't have anything for you on that.
Do you not see at all? Does the administration not see at all how a president asserting that he has the right to kill an American citizen without due process, and that he's not going to even explain why he thinks he has that right, is troublesome to some people?
Some have argued that the president is required to get permission from a federal court before taking action against a United States citizen who is a senior operational leader of Al-Qaeda or associated forces. This is simply not accurate. Due process and judicial process are not one and the same, particularly when it comes to national security. The Constitution guarantees due process. It does not guarantee judicial process.